Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's IFO webinar on Fusion. We're delighted to have you with us for our broadcast. My name is Matthew Lyon, and I'll be serving as your host on today's session. It's my great pleasure to welcome our two guest speakers today. We have Josh Gold with the IFO team. He is the Vice President of Business Development and Conferences. Also joining us for the broadcast is Charles Kaplan, Marketing Director with Perceptive Software. Gentlemen, I'd like to go ahead and transition the presentation over to you. So Josh, if you want to take it away.
Thanks so much, Matthew. Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, depending on where you are in the nation. Thanks so much for joining us in this special sneak preview of Fusion 2014. We're very excited about this year's offerings, and we should get started. Today's agenda includes an overview and some general information about this year's conference, what's new for 2014 and what's special to take note of, a plan for your conference experience and how to make the most of your time there in Dallas, a brief word from our sponsor, Perceptive Software, some logistics information, and then, of course, time for Q&A. So as we kick off this session, I think we have a poll question, Matthew?
We do, Josh. We'll go ahead and bring that up for our audience members, where we'd love to know if you have ever attended an IFO Fusion conference in the past. If you wouldn't mind, take a moment there. You've got two options, yes or no. We're going to assume that don't know is not applicable in this particular case. Please let us know your perspective there. We'll collect that over the next couple of moments, and then we'll bring those results up on screen for everyone. And again, as Josh made note of, we will be doing a Q&A near the end of today's session, so we encourage you, if you have questions about the upcoming conference, please go ahead and let us know by typing that into the chat area. We'll field a few of those during the broadcast, and any questions we're unable to get to, we'll certainly make sure the team can follow up with you. At this point, we're going to go ahead and close down that poll, and Josh, I'll bring up the results. Interestingly enough, we have a neck-and-neck race here of 50% of our folks who are on the line have and 50% have not. So I'll turn it back over to you.
That is interesting. We note that typically at our Fusion conferences, we see about a third of the attendees are new to the conference each year, which is fantastic. So for those of you who are new, we hope that this preview will give you some ideas of how you might be able to jump right in on day one and get to networking and get everything you can out of this conference that you might be able to. And for those of you who are not new, we certainly appreciate your continued support of the IFO and of the Fusion conferences. So this year's conference is in Dallas. It's in Grapevine, to be exact, which is a suburb of Dallas, at the Gaylord Texan Resort and Convention Center. Once again, we are at a Gaylord. We've certainly been to several Gaylords, and this is not the first time we've been to the Texan. We were there back in 2011 as well, for those of you who attended that conference. It's a gorgeous resort. It is under one roof, so all sleeping rooms and meeting space are all connected and under one central building. It is a four-diamond resort, and I think everyone will find the amenities there to be quite spectacular. A quick overview map of the space. Again, everybody will be in the main atrium right here, which is the Lone Star atrium. Most of the guest rooms will be in this brown section here, which is the Lone Star rooms. They are closest to the convention center. The convention center walkway is right there, as annotated by that green arrow. So it is separate from the sleeping rooms, but connected by an interior walkway. We have a large majority of the sleeping rooms at the hotel this year, so everywhere you go, in elevators, pools, bars, and restaurants, you'll be running into other Fusion attendees, and those are all excellent opportunities for you to have a networking experience with other attendees. A quick overview of the meeting space. So this is on the third level of the convention center. So you walk down that hallway that I annotated earlier, and you take actually two escalators. There's a middle floor, which is largely administrative for the hotel. So you'll kind of hit a landing, and then you'll go up another escalator, and you'll be on the main meeting space floor. You'll note that there's this pink area here, right where it says Center Pre-Function. I've just marked it with a green arrow. That is the registration and bookstore hub. This year, The bookstore, information desk, self-service check-in and registration is all in the same area, and you'll be able to go there to check out what's new with the IFO, talk to some IFO staffers about new initiatives that we have, get your bags and your inserts and your badges all right there in the hub. As you go down the hallway to where it says Texas Pre-Function, this is where the general session is going to be. It's marked in blue. And that's where you'll see your keynotes on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And sometimes we have meal functions in that space as well. The Innovation Award Luncheon, we have a breakfast on there on Thursday morning, as well as a lunch there on Thursday. So that's the space for that. And then all the other orange space, Dallas, San Antonio, those rooms, as well as the rooms alongside the general session, those are where our individual breakout sessions are being held. So all that information is available to you in the on-site guide, the mobile application that we'll be referring to later. But that's the general layout of the space. You take those escalators back down to that main hallway that you took to get from your room to the space, and you'll pass the exhibit hall. The exhibit hall this year is on the first floor, and you certainly can't miss that, and there's several meal functions being held in that space as well. Some general information about the conference. The DFW airport is certainly closer to the resort than Love Field, so those of you who have not yet made flight arrangements, please make sure you try to fly into DFW. It's literally at the driveway of the Gaylord, so 10 minutes is probably being over-exaggerating a bit. It's very, very close to the hotel, so we encourage you to use DFW if you can. The attire for our events at Fusion are always business casual. You might want to take a jacket or a sweater, as rooms can get cold at large resorts like this. Monday and Wednesday evening events, Monday being at the Paradise Springs pool area, and Wednesday at the Glass Cactus nightclub. Both of those are casual events. I imagine that we'll have some folks who might want to dress up for the Wednesday night, but it's certainly not required. It's a casual atmosphere, and casual attire is appropriate. The average high and low temperatures are listed there, and it is going to be quite pleasant. Again, Matthew, I think we have another poll question.
We do, Josh. Thank you so much. And this time around, we're going to ask our attendees, what is the main reason you've chosen to attend the Fusion 2014 event? So for the 50% of you that have already booked, we'd love to hear from you. And those of you that are still considering it, we'd like you to go ahead and obviously select one of those options as well that represents the highest important element in making a choice for you. So go ahead, if you would, select one of those options. We'll give you a couple of moments before we close down the poll and bring those results up live for everyone. And a reminder again that if you have a question as we go through, Josh is going to cover some great material in the next few minutes. But if we miss anything or you have a question that we would like to pose, please go ahead and do so by typing that into the chat area. We'll collect those and field a few of them with the remaining time we have on the broadcast. This time I'm going to go ahead and close down the poll, bring up those results up on screen. And Josh, it looks like educational value is certainly high with our attendees today. So we'll turn it back over to you for a little bit of thought on what you see this time.
Sure. Great, and not a surprise at all. Certainly our educational offerings are why most people decide to come to the event. We have over 140 sessions being offered this year, so lots and lots of content, more content than anyone could possibly attend, and we appreciate the fact that people see the value in the educational offerings that we have this year. Many of you might have noticed as you looked at the program in the registration brochure or online that we have more peer-led sessions than we ever have before. There was a specific initiative this year to ensure that most of our educational offerings are being done by your peers, those who are practicing financial operations right now, and less done by our service provider community, which always provide us strong content as well. So we hope that you'll notice and appreciate the fact that you're going to be hearing from your own peers in those sessions across the 4 days. Next, we'll talk real briefly about the on-site registration kiosks. For those of you who have registered, you'll receive a barcoded registration email that you can print out and bring with you to the Fusion 2014, and there'll be machines set up in that hub area that we spoke about earlier that will allow you just to simply scan that barcode, and your badge and other materials will be printed there on site. No need to talk to anyone or wait in line. It's self-serve, and it's a very quick process. It's the same process that we had last year for those of you who joined us in Orlando. The times for the registration area are listed there on the slide, and again, there should be plenty of time to get registered and not miss a thing during Fusion. So what is new in 2014? Well, we're proud to report that we have more accounts receivable related content than ever before. We have more than 40 sessions where we will be reviewing different aspects of accounts receivable. We continue to try to beef up that part of our membership, and part of that is beefing up the offerings that we offer to our attendees. We'll be launching the Accounts Receivable Paperless Office Maturity Model Diagnostic Tool. Those of you who have been paying attention or hearing what we have to say in both the magazine and last year's Fusion will note that we launched the AP POM last year. It's been a great success, and this year we're proud to launch the AR POM as part of the Fusion proceedings. We'll be graduating our first class of Leadership Academy graduates. Again, this was a class of future leaders in financial operations who will be graduating at Fusion. They've gone through a very extensive program of hours of coursework and essays and tests and self-study sessions, as well as face-to-face meetings around the country, and we're very proud of those Leadership Academy graduates, and they will be celebrated at this year's Fusion. We've moved our niche sessions, our industry niche sessions, to the start of the conference for two reasons. The niche sessions this year, which range from leadership to healthcare to data capture to retail, allow our attendees to meet with people in like industries who are also in the financial operations spectrum. So it's a great opportunity to not just meet other attendees, but meet other attendees who are doing what you do in the industry that you are in. And the feedback we got last year was having it at the end was convenient, but it was not helpful in keeping those relationships going throughout the week. So now you can meet those folks at the beginning of the week and carry on those conversations throughout the week, and of course once you get home. The other reason for moving them to the front was we realized that the timing of this year's conference is quite a bit earlier than usual on the calendar, and that there are some attendees who are focusing on closing out their month, and by moving those optional niche sessions to the front of the calendar, it allows us to give those folks one more day at home to finish out what they need to do before coming to the conference and hopefully making it there in time for the opening reception on Monday night. Finally, an updated itinerary planner and smartphone app, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. The itinerary planner, as I was just mentioning, and the URL is there right on the bottom of your screen, and you can also get there through the Financial Operations website, which is www.financialops.org. The itinerary planner is a great tool. We've enhanced it this year with even more information, more search capabilities, but it really allows you to see the full scale of the sessions when they are, and select by highlighting those stars next to each section which sessions you want to attend. A general reminder that by selecting those sessions, you're not actually saving a seat in the room, but you are making notes so that you can print out your itinerary or transfer it to the mobile app so that you have it on site and you know exactly which sessions you had selected to attend it. Again, with more than 140 sessions, it gets confusing, so we encourage you to go ahead and plan out your itinerary prior to arriving so you know exactly what sessions, which rooms, and what times you want to be attending things at Fusion. The mobile app, which will be launched about 9 to 12 days before the event, will allow you to take all that information that you've saved in the itinerary planner and have it there in your handheld device, iPad, iPhone, Android device, and it will allow you to review that information as well as peruse the online floor plan of the exhibit hall rather, and also get push messages from the IFO about changes or late breaking news that you might want to have when you're on site. We certainly encourage everyone to download that Fusion mobile application. If you're registered, you will receive an email exactly how to do that, but those of you who are interested, even if you're not attending, can download that app by searching the App Store for Fusion 2014, and you'll see that it's right there in the App Store. The interactive online floor plan has also been enhanced this year. We have more than 120 exhibiting companies this year. We're very excited about our larger expanded hall. It's larger than it's been in the past 4 years. Each company will have a link to their LinkedIn account, their Twitter and Facebook feeds. Many of the companies have opted to upload vendor brochures or even promotional videos to their listing in the online floor plan. And you can this year add exhibitors to your personal agenda. So again, that itinerary that we just talked about, by highlighting their listings within the online floor plan and even sending them notes to schedule a private appointment if that's something that you're interested in doing. So again, you can see the floor plan there, and as you mouse over different booths, you'll see their name and booth number, and if you dig in even deeper, you'll see their full description, links to their different social media sites, and again, if they've uploaded a brochure or a video or a website, it's available there as well. This is fully searchable by company name or by provider category, so we encourage you to spend some time perusing our list of exhibitors this year prior to coming to the show so you know exactly what to expect. This year's exhibit hall will include a relaxation station. This is sponsored by our friends at BankTech. It's just outside the entrance to the exhibit hall, offering mini massages, a recharge area, which is in aisle 600, which will include some seating, outlets for your electronic devices. There'll be coffee and other caffeinated beverages to kind of jumpstart your day or get you re-jump-started in the midday. An exhibitor lounge. This is for our exhibitors who are on the line. This is a relaxation area exclusive to the exhibitors to allow them to catch their breath between hall opening times. And of course our exhibitor theater, which we launched last year. This is an area where exhibitors who choose to do so can do 30-minute demos or sales pitches or whatever they choose to do. These are not NASBA-approved sessions. Sometimes they're very meaty in content, but they needn't be. So these could be anything from a panel discussion to a sales pitch. But we encourage you to look in the on-site guide and visit with exhibitors who are in the exhibitor theater and find out more about their sessions and plan to attend if you have time to do so. And we have another poll question.
We do, Josh. Thanks so much. And this time we want to find out your engagement level with the local chapter of the Institute of Financial Operations. So we're asking whether you belong to the local chapter there. Got options of yes or no. Please go ahead again and just select one of those options. We'll bring some of those results up here briefly for everyone, and then we'll jump back in. And a reminder for folks that if you have questions, and there are some good ones coming through in the chat area, you can simply type a message in there. Be sure to click on that send button so that it is transmitted over to us. We'll respond behind the scenes to you to let you know that we did receive your question there, and then we'll field those with the time that we have at the end of the session. Josh, I'm going to go ahead and close down the poll. We've got those results up on screen for you as well, and we'll turn the reins of the presentation back to you.
Great, and I see that the majority of you do belong to a chapter. Those of you who do not, we do have 30 chapters located across the country. We encourage you to visit the IFO website, /chapters, to see if there is one in your area. We think that the local face-to-face networking is sort of the main backbone of the association, and we want to see those strengthened and continued. For those of you who are in areas that do not have a chapter, we'd love for you to reach out to us and we can talk to you about getting something started in your local area. So please send a message to membership@financialops.org and we can have that discussion with you. But good to see that the majority of you are active in your local chapter. Let's get into the highlights of each day. Monday's highlights include those niche sessions that we talked about, healthcare, leadership, retail, and the Capture session, which is being co-sponsored by AIM, which a leader in Capture organizational management. So we want to make sure everybody is aware of those niche sessions. All 4 of those niche sessions are available to you free of charge. Many of them begin at 10 o'clock, and again, you can visit the itinerary planner for the exact times and locations of each of those. But we do require that people pre-register for those, so please do so. We're launching IFO's I Am IFO campaign, and you'll learn more about that campaign when you're there at Fusion, but it's an exciting new membership campaign we have that was really hoping to drive excitement about membership in the IFO. We'll have the final session for the 2013-2014 Leadership Academy just prior to graduation. We'll be opening the exhibit hall and having the grand opening reception along with ribbon cutting. There'll be food and beverage, and a lot of excitement as we open up that exhibit hall and more than 120 different exhibitors to visit with. And finally, we'll have our Fusion 2014 opening event, and this event is called Party at the Springs. It's at the Paradise Springs pool complex. This is a new pool complex. It's really a water park that's on the Gaylord Texan grounds. It's about 1.25 miles from the main hotel, so we will have trolley service running from the exhibit hall to the Paradise Springs event location starting at 6 p.m. on Monday. So there's either time to go back to your room and drop your things off, or many of you will probably just be continuing to carry your tote bag and any belongings with you to Paradise Springs to enjoy that event. There'll be games, there'll be food, beverage, music. It should be a very fun event for everyone and a great chance to experience one of the newer amenities at the Gaylord Texan. Tuesday highlights. We begin with a networking breakfast in that general session room, and then we have our first keynote speech, which is from John Gamble, who is the Executive Director and CFO at Lexmark. We are thrilled to be welcoming Mr. Gamble. He's a forward-thinking CFO of a global company. He's been aggressively changing the company's business strategy, and this massive transformation is taking place in large part with the folks in financial operations at the forefront of it, leading and driving that change. Mr. Gamble is going to present his case study and really challenge our attendees to consider how their financial operations teams can be the change makers within their own organizations. So this will be a very exciting case study for our folks to listen to and hopefully get invigorated by. Of course, while the 2013-2014 Leadership Academy graduation, we'll be launching that AR Palm diagnostic tool, as we spoke about earlier. It's the start of the master's sessions, which we'll talk about in just a moment. And we have 3 sets of educational breakouts and 12 educational tracks. A total of 48 sessions will be scheduled just on Tuesday alone. And I think at this point in the presentation, I'm going to turn it over to Charles Kaplan with Perceptive, who will have a few notes.
That's great. Thanks, Josh. This is Charlie Kaplan, so I appreciate that. This is Perceptive Software's 2nd year running as the title sponsor, and I tell you, we are excited and honored to be the title sponsor for this year's event. I mean, I tell you, if you've never been to this event, the educational tracks, the keynote speakers, the networking opportunities, the exhibit halls, even the conference facilities itself are just A caliber all the way around. And so, Josh, you know what they say. They say everything's bigger in Texas, and I have no doubt that this year's Fusion event is going to be the best there's ever been. So with that, just a couple of quick highlights for you. When we go and look here, there are many sessions to choose from that go from, sort of beginner if you're new to AP and AR best practices if you're intermediate or advanced. I think there's really something for everybody. But a couple of the sessions that we've been involved in that I think might be of interest to you, I've listed here. The first one is on Tuesday, May 6th, right after the opening keynote. It's in the Dallas 5 room, and it's called Managing Suppliers, W-9s to 1099s. This is an intermediate level course. It's being led by Wes Keller, who's actually on the Perceptive Software team. Wes has got a wealth of experience in AP operations, very detailed background, and so I think he's going to share with you some of the effective technologies and practices for managing W-9s and 1099s, so you're within your regulatory guidelines and you're clear of penalties as you try and manage those complex documents and the repositories behind them. The second one that I want to point out is on Wednesday, so Wednesday at 3:15 in the Texas 3 room. It's actually a customer. This is New Hanover Regional Medical Center in Wilmington, North Carolina. John Schaefer runs their AP department there, and he's going to talk through what they've done, both with technology from Perceptive Software surrounding their Lawson ERP system, to talk about how they've driven measurable improvements in their AP processes. this is something where this organization, like many healthcare organizations, continue to grow, and what they are doing now is they're growing significantly without adding headcount. So not only reducing the burden on the people that they have, but actually helping those people get into more meaningful roles within their AP department. So I think that'll be a great one to listen to as well. And then the third one I wanted to highlight is on Thursday, May 8th, right before noon in the San Antonio 1 room, and this is called 10 Ways to Streamline Master Vendor Management from Toledo to Tokyo. This one is actually being led by Sean Furman and Mark Seathaler from the LDS Church. And if you've ever heard the guys from LDS present about what they've been doing in their AP operations and shared services operations, I mean, it's fascinating. These guys are absolutely at the top of their game, and to hear what they've done and what they continue to do in the context of that organization's AP operation, I mean, I learn something new every time I hear from them. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to then touch off on was this accounts receivable paperless office maturity model. As Josh mentioned, we actually rolled out the accounts payable equivalent to it last year, and I'll tell you, the response has been off the charts. We've had hundreds of organizations go in, enter some simple data. I mean, it's about a 10-minute exercise to enter some data, and the feedback that we've gotten in terms of helping to sort of show organizations where they are and provide some recommendations about where they can go next in their journey towards becoming, if not paper-free, at least paperless, has been just tremendous feedback. And so this year, in collaboration with professionals, right, AR practitioners, we have developed and will roll out the accounts receivable paperless office maturity model. So when we get closer to the date, and certainly at the conference, we encourage you to log in, look for that, work with your AR folks, or if you are an AR professional, use that as a very valuable resource to help you in your AR automation journey. Okay, so with that, Josh, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Great. Thanks so much, Charlie. The next thing we want to really highlight here is the Master Session. This is a very exciting, high-level, invitation-only event for senior-level executives, for them to engage with one another directly in sort of an impromptu, open, roundtable discussion type environment. The Master Sessions are being led this year by Andre Hale with Walt Disney World or the Disney Company, and they are complimentary for all qualified senior financial ops executives. For those of you on the phone who feel like you fit the criteria for the Master Sessions, we encourage you to contact us, again, membership at financialops.org, and let us know that you'd like to be invited to those sessions. Or if there's somebody within your organization, please have them visit the Master Session page on the financialops.org website, where they can ask for an invitation to that event. It always is one of our most popular events with senior financial folks, and we have a great return rate on that. A lot of them come back year after year, and the conversations continue throughout the year. Moving on to the Wednesday highlights, the exhibit hall will be open for a networking breakfast. This is the first time we've tried this in the exhibit hall, and we're looking forward to having people start their day with us in the exhibit hall. At the midday point, we'll have an exhibit hall prize drawing extravaganza. That means that all those individual booths that are having prize drawings will be submitting them to the IFO for us to announce and distribute to the attendees. So we expect everyone to be in the hall and excited to see what kind of prizes they might win for that prize drawing event. Moving right from there, we'll be going into the Innovation Awards. This year, the Innovation Awards keynote is Bob Kodges, who is the Creative Catalyst, Chief Creative Catalyst at Flight of Ideas. He's an award-winning visual and performing artist who's made business and human collaboration his medium. I think you'll find him very interesting. He's actually sort of serving as the MC, and he'll have a whole cadre of folks who will be encouraging us to think outside the box and looking at things in different ways. So it's almost a variety show of types. The next event that we're highlighting is just the sheer number of educational breakouts offered on Wednesday, 56 individual sessions being offered throughout the day on Wednesday in those 12 tracks. And then finally our finale event, which is not quite the finale this year because we do have plenty of events on Thursday, but our Wednesday evening event is at Gaylord's Glass Cactus nightclub. Again, those of you who were with us in 2011 might remember the Glass Cactus. I believe it served as the opening reception in 2011. This year we'll be closing out with a live band playing all the hits that you love, along with food and drink and lots of networking at a really great location that's, again, just about a half mile from the main building. Folks who wish to can certainly walk that distance. We will have trolley service running to and from the hotel to that event throughout the evening. This year's Innovation Award is very exciting because, of course, we will have 2 Innovation Awards, one for the AP Innovation of the Year as well as the AR Innovation of the Year. And we've never had a better response in terms of nominations. We had nearly 20 nominations for the awards this year, and we're really excited about our winners, who we will keep under our hat until time to announce on Wednesday afternoon. But look forward to that great moment on stage. Again, that networking event on Wednesday evening begins at 6 p.m. at the Glass Cactus nightclub with lots of great networking and food, beverage, music. Thursday highlights, we begin with a breakfast and then more sets of educational breakouts, 45 more sessions, a networking lunch, and then our closing keynote, who is Scott O'Grady. Many of you may be familiar with the name or know his story. He did serve as the inspiration for the film Behind Enemy Lines. He was shot down over Bosnia while enforcing the NATO no-fly zone when he was in an F-16. He has a great story about that experience and what it has taught him throughout his life, and I think people will find it quite informational and inspirational. So we look forward to having you at that closing keynote on Thursday before heading to your hometowns. I do want to highlight the fact that this year's sessions, much like last year, were greatly supported by our friends at other allied organizations within the financial operations spectrum, the folks at AIM, IOFM, IAOP, the Outsourcing Association, Shared Services Link, Shared Services Network, and our friends at NACHA. So we certainly appreciate their support, and they're presenting sessions at Fusion 2014. That's the end of our formal presentation. At this point, Matthew, we'd love to take some questions from the audience.
Absolutely, Josh. And just a reminder to all of you that are on the line with us that if you do have a question about the upcoming conference that we have not answered at this point, please feel free to go ahead and type that into the chat area. You'll find it on the left-hand side of your screen. Be sure to click on that send button, as we'll pick up the questions from there and we'll field them with our presenters here. So Josh, we've got a couple of questions that we'll start off with. We had someone write in to ask whether you could provide a little bit of additional information on what they can expect with the differences between the exhibit theater or the vendor tour. Those sound a little bit similar, so can you elaborate on the differences between the two?
That's a great question. So the vendor tour program is a program that the IFO has had for at least 5 or 6 years, if not longer. It's a pre-registration opportunity, so we want to make sure you select that option when you're registering. And if you haven't done so, feel free to contact us and we'll add it to your offerings. But it's an opportunity for you to walk in a group of people visiting booths of a certain likeness. So maybe it's AP Interventions, or maybe it's the future of Lockbox. Whatever the topic of this session is, you can be sure that the vendors that you see on that tour will all be in that same arena. It's an opportunity for each of those vendors to see a large group of people at one time, give what I would call an elevator sales pitch, so something very short, just enough to whet your appetite and make note of the location of the booth and come back and see them later in the show. So these are offered throughout the 3 days of the exhibit halls being open, and we encourage you to sign up and experience those. The exhibitor theater is more of a 30-minute session type environment where, again, as I said earlier, it could be very educational in nature, it could be very sales-focused in nature, but it's an opportunity for them to speak directly to their potential clients and current clients about their service or software or equipment. And it's a quiet environment. It's a hard-walled room. On both the exhibitor theater and the vendor tour, our attendees will be wearing headsets, which will be directly connected by radio wave to a microphone being used by the presenter. So while the exhibit hall can be very loud at some times, because there's a lot of people in there having conversations, that headset service really allows us to get the message across directly to the listener and not also interfere with the other things going on in the floor with another kind of amplification device. So that's the general difference between the two.
Great, Josh. Thanks so much for the clarification there. And you spoke earlier about the number of offerings and the great training that's going to be going on at the conference. We had somebody write in asking how many total CPE credits can they acquire by attending Fusion? So if they're going to individual sessions, what's the max number that a person can obtain?
Great question. So up to 17 NASBA approved CPEs are available if you attend all the session times, as well as that niche, the niche session in the front of the event. Of course, make sure you're scanning your badge as you enter those rooms. We will have remote scanners in every location, and you complete your session evaluation forms and submit those at the close of the conference. There'll be submission drop boxes throughout the hall or throughout the location, so you can ensure that we get that information. If you do that, we can ensure that you'll get those NASBA approved credits. Do want to add that certain events like the vendor theater, the vendor tours, are not NASBA approved, and they will not earn you any credits.
Great. Thank you very much, Josh. We've got several questions that have come in, and maybe this is a general response. You talked about the barcodes earlier. We've had a couple of folks note that they're not really sure where to look for that, whether they should have got that as part of their confirmation letter, and maybe they didn't see it there. Can you elaborate a little bit about the barcode and where they would identify that coming to them at the process?
I believe that barcoded registration comes to you prior to arrival, so it could be something that we're sending just prior to the event. I will check with my team, and those of you who have written in with questions, I will make sure I get back to you directly. And I should also note, you don't absolutely have to have that barcoded registration piece. When you get to the self-service check-ins, there's also an opportunity for you to type in the information, and it will find you through the system in that way as well. So no worries if you don't have the barcode.
That's great. We always like having options there when we check in, so thanks, Josh. The next question has to do with the app. You've got some folks that were excited about that and being able to access that as part of their overall experience. They're looking for it maybe in the store and the Google Play side, for example, and maybe they're not seeing it right now. Can you talk to us about when the app will be available and goes live within the system?
Certainly, yeah. Just to underscore, we don't launch the app until we have all the presentations loaded. I should also note that that mobile app is an opportunity for you to download any of the presentations available at Fusion. Often can be helpful if you're in a large room and you might be towards the back of the room. You can actually follow along on your own mobile device like an iPad versus scanning the room to find the screen at the front of the room. But we do not launch any of those mobile apps until we're within 8 to 10 days of the start of the conference. So those would not be in the store quite yet. But you will receive an email broadcast from the IFO letting you know that they are available. And any IFO staffer, when you're on site, can help work through your device and help you find that app when you're there.
That's great, Josh. Thanks again for that. We've got someone who's attended in the past the different events there, and you've had some of the sessions that are very popular, and they're wondering how, for example, overflow might be managed as part of the process there within the different rooms. If we've got one that's really popular at a specific time, what can they expect from that?
Again, great question. We have two different ways we're doing that. First of all, we've identified those speakers who we know tend to draw a large crowd, and I won't name names here, but we know who they are. So for those folks, we've ensured that we put those in the largest rooms available. Secondly, we really want to encourage everyone to be using that itinerary planner, because as people make those selections and highlight those gold stars letting us know which sessions that they plan to go. It not only allows them to print out their own personal itinerary, but it also allows us to see on the back end which sessions are becoming more and more popular. We can have flexibility when we're on site to make changes to rooms that we've already assigned, and we will do so if we start seeing in that itinerary planner that certain sessions are being selected far more than others. But I think we've largely fixed the problem because we tend to know that certain speakers draw a lot and certain topics draw a lot, and I think we've made the appropriate room choices up front. Can't be 100% sure, and certainly hope we don't have that overflow problem again this year, but we've got our eye on it.
That sounds great, Josh. Thanks again. Just a quick reminder to our attendees, if you have any additional questions, please go ahead and type those into the chat area. There's a few of you that have written in with individual situations. We'll look to have the team follow up with you in your particular case behind the scenes to provide you with a little bit of guidance there as well. So we'll give folks just a couple more moments. We don't want to leave any question unanswered that we can address as part of the broadcast. So if you have something there, please go ahead and type it in. And while we're looking for those to come through, I'm going to turn Josh to you and Charles to see if you have any final thoughts that you'd like to leave our attendees with here as we start to wind things down. So Josh, if you might want to go first.
Certainly. The final thought I would leave everybody with is that we're really excited to put on this year's Fusion. We think we've put more care and effort into this year's show than ever before. We have a lot more education than we've offered in the past, a lot more peer-to-peer education, which is what you've told us you want, and we've provided that, a lot more AR education, which we're being told that you want, and we've provided that. And really the ball is now in your court. We want to ensure that you come ready to network, meet with others, learn from others, and really just experience Fusion to its fullest extent. If there's any way that the IFO staff can help you in experiencing Fusion as best you can, let us know. We are here for you. We are your staff, and we're really at your assistance. I guess a question that might have been asked that I'd like to pose to Charlie is, you at one point were a new attendee to this event. What sort of advice might you give a first-time attendee or a newer attendee who's attending Fusion this year about how they might best get involved and meet folks at Fusion?
That's a great question. So I guess the first thing is, rest up before you get on the plane to go to Dallas. I might offer you that, because there's a lot to do while you're there. What I encourage you to do, though, in all sincerity, is to take a look at your program guide and be sure to be available, from the beginning of the conference to the end. Take advantage of, the keynote presentations. Map your way through, the sessions based on things that are interesting. As Josh pointed out, I think, with any of these, if you have questions about a session and whether it's going to meet your needs, or if it's, if you have a question about two that may be at the same time, stop and ask someone at the registration desk, a peer or somebody who looks like another attendee. And then what I'd also encourage you to do is get down to the exhibit hall floor. That's a place for a lot of great discussions. Don't be afraid to mix and mingle with the vendors. These are folks that know quite a bit about the industry, right? And so in addition to being there and providing technical solutions, these are folks many of whom have spent many, many years working with clients in and around automation for accounts payable, accounts receivable, and so forth. And, it's a good group. These folks, I think, are willing as much to share their ideas as they are to listen and try and help problem solve. And for any of this, and I speak for myself first and foremost, if you do have questions, just seek us out. Seek me out, seek Josh out, and, let us know if there are people that you want to meet or groups that you want to meet up with. And, the IFO community is there to support our members, and so we'll be more than happy to do that. So to answer your question, Josh, I think I've personally gotten a tremendous amount of value out of this organization over the years. It's an organization that I really enjoy spending time with. The people I enjoy spending time with, I enjoy seeing them every year when we get back to the conference. And if you are new or if you haven't been in several years, just from the get-go, feel as though you're a member of the family, and just jump right in.
Great. I totally agree, and I think our attendees tend to be really friendly, outgoing, easy to talk to folks, and I think any of them would be more than willing to meet someone new and help you experience your first Fusion.
Well, gentlemen, I just want to take a moment to thank both of you for sharing your time today with our attendees and for sharing some great information with them as well. As we look to wrap up the broadcast, there's a couple of items I'd like to note for folks. Of course, the session was recorded. We'll make a replay available if you'd like to share any of this information with staff or peers. Also, as you exit the room today, we will have a post-event survey for you. We'd ask you to take just a couple of moments there, complete some of the brief questions we have to give us feedback on today's activities. With that, we'd like to again thank you all for attending today's session, and we wish you a great day.